welcome back to my channel. I know I said I'd have red hair in this video, but I'm recording the same video in the same day just because I don't have time. I'm trying to be productive. I'm trying to give you content, so be grateful. But anyways, today we're going to be talking about mental health problems and toxic codependency. Let's get into it. Okay, the reason why I wanted to talk about this video is because we're still in lockdown. And there are going to be so many people who have toxic codependencies to people, and so many people that have like really toxic attachments. I have mental health problems. You guys already know that. That's why I made the bloody channel. So yeah, not going to get into that. But basically, after thinking deeply, I realized that the way I attach myself to people can be seen as a toxic codependency. And you're probably wondering, what's a toxic codependency? I got my phone. I'm gonna tell you what it is. Okay, so it's a codependent relationship which is unhealthy. It's an unhealthy way of obtaining self-esteem and feelings of safety that deteriorate our identity and independence. One person is troubled and tends to absorb the other's energy and resources by behaving selfishly. The more I read that, can't really relate. The more I read it, it really isn't that. But I'll tell you what I can relate to. So when I think of toxic codependency or toxic dependencies, what I was calling it before, I think of someone who, okay, let me break it down. You know I love to give you guys examples. Okay, so say somebody had a really rough childhood or a really rough past, right? They have not opened up to anybody about it. They're very they're an introvert, you know? They keep everything to themselves. It's just their little secret, you know, it's in their little bubble and that's how they like to keep it. Cool, let's say that. Finally, they find someone who they're able to express themselves with. And I mean express in all forms. So they can talk to them about anything and everything. And then finally, they feel comfortable enough to talk about their vulnerabilities. Okay, this is where the toxicity comes. Sometimes when you have a mental health problem and sometimes when you have a really dark past and someone finally gives you like that hand of love or that hand of support, you can feel like you really want to clench onto that and hold on to it a bit too much. Well, let's continue. So now you found that person, let's say your person, it doesn't have to be someone you're dating or nothing like that, just someone that you're really, really close to, someone that you really admire, mainly because they understand you and nobody really gets you. Cool. So you got this person now, you absolutely adore them, etc, etc. You told them everything, they know about it, they know about your triggers, all of that good stuff. Cool. Now you get triggered one day and you have a little episode, let's say, and the first person you think of going to is obviously that person because that's the only person who knows about it. Cool. At first that's fine, that's calm, you know, because like maybe, you know, they're new to it, so yeah, they'll want to handle it. But if it keeps going on, like sometimes it can be seen as quite selfish. So that's the part I would say I can to some extent relate to, because like for that person, obviously all they want to do is help you, but sometimes we have to think about like how that comes across to them. So like I can relate in the sense that like sometimes when I'm like down, like I'll only go to like one person about it, and it's like, in as much as I know that they'll always be there for me and I know that like it's all fine and stuff, it's still a lot for them to handle. Especially like when you love someone, you don't want any wrongdoings to happen to them, you don't want anything bad to happen to them, kind of thing. So when you do get to know about their past and you do get to know about things that like really hurt them, you're gonna be upset and you don't want that person to be upset. So it's that toxic attachment of, I like to call it a savior victim complex. So like, not that they're your savior, because damn, no one's your savior but Jesus, but I mean like, you're a victim in the sense that you've been through some crap, and for you deem them to be like the hope, that shining light, that person who kind of like makes things better. So this could be like a bunch of girls that you hang out with, or some lads that you hang out with, or people that you talk to, etc. Just people who make you see life in a brighter view. Cool. You attach yourself to them because you feel like, you know, they distract you from your past life. But the problem with that is it's a distraction, and as soon as the distraction fades away, you're still gonna have to go back home and face that reality. So one of the main ways that I've been trying to like get past like toxic codependency on people is like embracing being alone and mainly like focusing on myself, which is really hard because I'm like all about fixing everybody and fixing people's problems and helping people out. But then I just deleted all my social media because I was like, yo, how the heck am I gonna do this if I still am talking to everyone and I'm still in communication with everyone? So I kind of like just unplugged. Yeah, I unplugged because I said I just needed to have some space and had to have some time to think. And when I started to think, I started to observe my own patterns and see that, like, because I'm so closed and because I don't really talk to many people, the people that I do talk to, like, you could term it as a toxic codependency because I don't talk to anybody else. I don't do anything else. So, like, as soon as they disappear, to me it's like, I'm alone, I have no friends, I have nothing, even though I have friends, I have family, etc. But because you have such a close bond with that person and because they've helped you out when you've been your lowest, you have that victim savior complex I was talking about. It's the, they've got me, it's gonna be fine. It's fine, whatever. Okay, moving on from me and moving on to things I can relate to. Sometimes in this complex, you can be done really, really badly by this person, but because they've helped you so many times, you just forgive it. And it's because you only see the good. And of course you're going to see the good, because if everybody has been bad to you, if you've been through like lots of trauma, inevitably whatever they do is not going to be seen as that big to you, mainly because like you've been through more, you've been through stuff that is tougher. So I wanted to talk about toxic codependency, or toxic dependency as I was calling it before. Found out it wasn't called that, but oh well, I'm gonna continue calling it what I want to call it. But yeah, I feel like loads of people have this. Like, from me understanding it, is because like sometimes you don't even realize it, but your self-esteem and like the way you perceive yourself does come from others. Like, you, how do I put this? You always seek validation from that person that you may deem as a savior. As I said before, it's just a term. Like, no one actually sits there and goes, yeah, they're my savior. But many times you're looking for that compliment or that a-okay from that one person, because for you it's like, well, they never do me wrong because they've always been there for me and they know everything about me. You're basically vulnerable to them, you're naked to them, you know, and you just want to look good to that person, even though you really don't need to be, as I think of it, because like you're vulnerable to them, they know everything about you, so what's the point? But because you see so much good in them, you just want to continue performing in that light. So a couple of ways that I've been trying to like deal with it. I have a dissertation, so my dissertation makes me think about that alone, and I also have a job now, and it's like very, very involving, and I don't really have time to talk as much as I used to people, and I don't have time to be awake as much as I used to, because if you guys remember, I was an insomniac. I'd like to say my job saved me and cured me from that, because now I have to sleep. I ain't got no choice, because I have to have a shift at like 9. If I sleep at like 6, I got 3 hours to get up, and I've got to be active and alert, and that's just not working. So I started to sleep more, so I have less time to have anxiety and less time to have like really bad thoughts because I'm asleep. But you know, there's loads of ways to try and push through it. You gotta kind of like go through that whole self-love thing and like loving yourself, and I put that in air quotes because I feel like, in as much as I'm gonna promote self-love and I'm gonna promote for people to love themselves, it's a load of bullshit. I'm sorry, it doesn't work like that. You don't just wake up one morning and go, yeah, I love myself. If I could just wake up and say, yeah, I love myself, I'd be on top of the world. Of course I would. I'd be happy. There would be no such thing as depression. There'd be no such thing as anxiety. There'd be no such thing as mental health problems if you could wake up one day and say, I accept all of my flaws. But that's not how it works. And I'm fine with having mental health problems. I'm fine with having a neurodevelopmental disorder. I think it's pretty cool and it's quirky, and I think it just makes me amazing. So I'm cool with it. But sometimes I don't think like that though. Like, it's not always that though. Like, sometimes it's just like, oh my god, like, why can't I just be normal, you know? But anywho, I'm digressing. In this pandemic, this season of the virus, I just want people to be aware of that, like having these codependency on people, because one, you're not going to see them as often as you do before. And that's another thing. That's the reason why I even realized that I had this attachment, is because you don't see these people anymore. And it's almost like you're pulling away from the people that you thought were like your all, you know? And yes, they can still be your all, but the root of everything is you, you know? So just love yourself and all that crap. I don't know, I'm gonna have to do another video on loving yourself, because I think I don't really believe in that concept. Like, I believe you should love yourself, but I think I wouldn't call it that. I'd call it respect. Like, I respect myself enough to go to bed because I have work, or I respect my intelligence enough so I do my work because I don't want to get a bad grade. That grade would be disrespectful to me. Like, it looked bad to me, you know? Those kind of things. But yeah, I just wanted to talk about sometimes an early sign of someone having a mental health problem is their attachment style. So if they, okay, how do I put this? They're clingy to you, but to everybody else, they're like that. They don't want nothing to do with nobody. They're not touchy, they're not affectionate at all. But with you, they're like, oh yeah, I like this person. Like me, for instance, I hate touch. Touch me and I'll bug out. But if I love you now, woohoo, let's touch and let's be all merry. I'm kidding, to be fair. Don't touch me all the time, that's gross. But I mean, like, I'm more accepting of it, you know, like, because you see too much good in them. And yeah, I think I'm slowly and gradually getting over it, mainly because I've deleted lots of my social media, so I don't even have time to like see what everyone's doing and stuff. And also because everyone's so busy now, hence why I feel like alone, because there's no one to really talk to. But sometimes you just have to talk to yourself, and that's all I really have to say, man. You know, have a great day, guys, and don't toxically depend on people, because it's bad for you. Goodbye.